Hi, everybody. I'm Nilan Peiris, Chief Product Officer at Wise. I've been at Wise for the last 15 years, which is a while. And I'm going to be talking to you about manifesting the future as a PM, gazing into the crystal ball. I'll be talking about the human aspects of product management. So, not much about AI in this talk. I've been at Wise for more or less 15 years. I met Christo and Tava, the founders, when it was just the two of them. And they had this dream of making money move without borders, really frictionlessly, low cost, fast, and transparently. And we've come a long way. About 5% of the world's money moves on Wise today. And the money that moves on Wise has a pretty big impact. We saved our customers about £2 billion last year versus if they'd used their bank. And that's through the three products we've got. Wise Transfer, fastest and cheapest way of sending money internationally. A multi-currency account, which lets users move, manage, send, receive money internationally. It's got about 20 billion in deposits now. And then we've taken our decades-long investment in infrastructure and we give that out to some of the world's best companies who use us to move and manage their money. Companies like Monzo, N26, Nubank, and Standard Chartered. But enough about Wise. Today, I'm going to talk about what I believe product managers are in the business of. And I think we're all in the business of predicting the future. As a product manager, you have this awe-inspiring job, which is figuring out what to ship. You get it right, and you're going to get promoted? No, maybe not. Have a big impact. That's what it's all about. And so what do we do, given the stakes are so high around this? We try to predict our customers' behavior when we're deciding what to ship. We've all got product development processes that look like this. And for me, the magical point is this one: deciding what to build. Because you see, some of the changes you all make in your lifetime are going to have a small impact. But some of those changes you ship are really going to transform your customers' lives. So what I'm going to do today is going to share a bit about what I've learned about finding those types of changes, how you create the incentives internally to make them happen and overcome the types of challenges you'll face. Because the cost of failure is high. Engineering is expensive, even in an AI world. So what do we do as PMs before we ship? Well, the first thing we do is we open Excel and we try to predict opportunity size, guess what is the impact of this going to be. And we've turned this into an industry. At Wise, we're no different. We'll have our company KPIs, which is the impact we want to have as a company. We have about 2,000 people in product engineering, broken down into tribes of about 200, 300 engineers. They'll have tribe KPIs, squad KPIs, and then team KPIs. But really, all that matters is the thing at the bottom: what teams are shipping, the projects they're working on. And hiding within every single thing you ship is an assumption around how you believe your users' behavior is going to change as a result of what you're shipping. And I think we underplay this too much. We kind of gloss over this step in the process. So let me talk you through an example. One of our PMs noticed recently that 6% of card payments that our customers and businesses made using the Wise card failed as customers didn't have enough money in their bank account. Do you know what? They came up with this idea, revolutionary. It's called auto top-up. When your balance falls below, say, £50, top up £100 from my magical money account. We've all got these extra money accounts where we can just pull money when we run out of money. And then they tried to estimate the kind of impact of this and did some kind of sums of percentage of people with money in their magical money account times the number of recovered failures. And that became the growth opportunity. And it was around about 10%. Told me, Nilan, we're going to ship this, and we're going to get 10% more card volume, 10% more card transactions. And we shipped it. And it wasn't 1 in 10 more customers that ended up using us. It wasn't 1 in 100. It was more like 1 in 10,000. Because you see, we got the formula wrong. It is the percentage of the number of people with money in another account times the number of failures, but how many people could actually be bothered to go through and set up this auto top-up? And I wonder what happens if we start off our product management processes by thinking through what our customers actually care about, what is the thing that will have the biggest impact for them, and would that result in the biggest growth opportunity? And I call that process building conviction. And I'll talk you through another story at Wise of how a product manager called Ben, I've changed his name and his picture to protect his privacy here, built conviction. So Ben joined Wise, and he joined as our virality PM, which doesn't mean that he had an infectious disease. It meant he was in charge of our refer a friend scheme, refer 3 friends to Wise and then earn £50. Well, it came up to quarterly planning. He'd been at Wise for 3 months. And I said, right, Ben, so what are you going to ship? And he said, you know what, Nilan? I'm going to ship everything. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to ship everything? He goes, I don't really know what matters. So I'm going to split test the subject lines of the email. I'm going to change the invite scheme. I'm going to change the landing page. I'm going to try changing everything. I was like, So I said, Ben, I tell you what, you got a week, and you should try and figure out one thing to build. One thing that you believe is going to have a really big impact. And so he went and he talked to customers, and he came back and he showed me this email. This is quite a while ago. This email's been rebranded now. But this is the email we send customers when their transfer completes. And he said to me, you know what, Nilan? Our customers love this email. And they really believe they save money with Wise. But you know what? They don't believe that savings number. And I think if I can get them to believe that number, they're going to really understand the value of Wise, and they're going to invite and refer way more people. And so what he did was he sat down with the designer and he sketched up a mock-up of how he wanted to change this email. And he went to the local coffee shop and he showed the mock-up to a bunch of people in the coffee shop. And the first version looked like this. And they kept iterating the mock-up every day. They went down with a different one till they got this kind of visceral reaction from customers they showed it to. You see, when you send money internationally with your bank, say ING, they tell you it costs €6. They don't tell you there's 14 euros hidden in the exchange rate. And the really hard thing that Ben was solving was how to communicate in a single image that it really cost you 20 euros to send money with ING. That's what he needed to put in the email. And he ended up putting something that looked like this in those emails, along with our referral link. And that drove up referrals by 300%. Because customers didn't believe they saved €6, they believed they saved 20 euros. So what have we learned? This other way of building product, this other way of predicting the future, talking to customers, building conviction, and figure out these high impact changes. So let me share with you a little around a couple of the biggest changes that we've made at Wise and the story behind what inspired them. See, at Wise, we have over 20 million customers, and about 1.5 million join us every quarter. But what we're most proud of is about 70% join Wise after hearing about Wise from a friend. And the majority of that is just pure organic referral without an incentive. And this isn't by accident, it's by obsessing around what it would take for a customer to recommend our product. And we kind of learned this through doing things like the NPS survey, asking customers, would you recommend us to your friends, and giving them a scale. But what we learned over the years of doing this is when you move people from giving you a 5 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10, you double the number of people they tell about your product. A 6 to an 8, they double again. An 8 to a 10, they double again. And that means every single customer that goes through your product is more viral, and it leads to this kind of exponential type growth. This is really difficult to do. So let me just talk you through the recipe for this. Most product managers, you talk to customers, you figure out what to build, you ship it, and it works. And you're like, whoop! The great ones, you line out the significant bugs. The really top 1% of PMs will build this incredible slick experience. But the ones that build a product that has an NPS of 9 or 10 create experiences that customers did not know was previously possible. They're building something that doesn't exist. They're not predicting the future anymore. They're creating the future. They're creating a world customers didn't know was possible, and that creates a huge amount of value that turns into viral growth and turns into shareholder value eventually. And let me talk you through a couple of examples of what specifically I mean. If you're a regional PM in Wise, you sit in one of the countries in which you serve. And one of the things you realize after talking to customers is price matters a lot in cross-border money transfer. And you're trying to figure out how to make it 10 times cheaper. And probably you quite quickly get to, maybe I should try and find a cheaper banking provider. We work with 90 of the, really incredible banks around the world that help us move and manage money. But after a while, our regional PMs get to the point of thinking, who's the cheapest bank? Who's got the fastest payment rails? And it turns out, in every country, the answer is the same. The cheapest bank, the fastest bank, is the central bank. And about 12 years ago, when we were really tiny, when we were like 30 people and we were moving hardly any money, we went to the Bank of England. We actually went to number 10, and we asked for a settlement account at the Bank of England. And this was a big deal back then, because back then, only 4 banks in the UK had access to settlement accounts at the Bank of England. We needed to change the regulations, we need to change the law, we need to create the regulatory sandbox. It took us 3 to 4 years. We were fundamentally building something that didn't exist. You fast forward to today, and we've replicated that in 8 countries around the world. And in each country, again, we had to change the law to make it happen. As we were on that journey, we were never sure when it would happen or if we would ever succeed. But the impact's huge. 70% of the payments are now instant on Wise. When you send money from the UK to Australia, it comes in instantly via FPS to our bank account at the Bank of England and gets paid out instantly by our MPP in Australia. That is an experience that our customers did not know was possible. That's creating a future that didn't previously exist. The biggest impact comes from solving problems that other people think are unsolvable and figuring out how to solve those. One more example. I talked about exchange rates earlier. It's pretty crazy. 90% of the public don't know there's a fee hidden in the exchange rate when they go to their bank and they see the cost for moving money internationally. One thought we stumbled on was our biggest marketing investment would be if we could make it illegal to hide fees in the exchange rate. So about 6-7 years ago, we created a petition, we sent it to our customers, and we got them to write letters to their local MP. And as PSD2, a piece of regulation, went through Parliament, we lobbied the government to make it illegal to hide fees in the exchange rate. We set off a bunch of environmentally decomposable balloons. And you know what? We failed. It's not illegal to hide fees in the exchange rate. You still will see banks doing that today in the UK. But last month, After years of lobbying, we succeeded in Europe. And there's legislation that's just made its way through the European Council that makes it illegal to hide fees in the exchange rate in Europe. The biggest impact comes from solving problems that other people look at and say, that's impossible. It's how on earth am I, as a PM, going to get every other bank in the whole of Europe to stop hiding the exchange rate? That's the type of challenge that you have to take on if you want to have this outsized impact. All right, I know what you're all thinking. That's all good, Nilan. I figured out what I need to do, but my problem is all these stakeholders I need to manage and get over the line. Because as PMs, our job is crazy hard. Like, we're over here, and we have to get all these people aligned every time we want to build something. Something I'm fond of telling PMs at Wise is you're accountable for everything. If your product's rubbish, it's Wise. If it's your fault. If it's coded badly, it's your fault. If the design sucks, it's your fault. But you didn't do any of that. It's your job to inspire your engineers. It's your job to inspire your leads. It's your job sometimes even to inspire the entire company to take these huge steps forward. Which is why I like to think of product managers as the original influencer. It's a bad photo from my daughter, but anyway. You have zero direct agency. And the one thing you can do as product leaders, I know there's some product leaders in the room, is you can organize your teams to minimize the number of people you need to influence to ship. So at Wise, we try to let the teams autonomously ship as much as possible, align at squads where they need to, align at tribes where they need to, and minimize the number of cross-team and cross-squad and cross-tribe dependency. Again, I know what you're thinking. Nilan, you haven't said a word about compliance, right? I've got this great idea of what I need to do, but I've got this massive backlog of things I need to do from compliance, and that gets in the way of doing what my customers want. I have a lot of experience with compliance. We have over 70 licenses around the world, and I think we're on track to become one of the most regulated companies on earth. But you know what? Customers really care about compliance. Because if the product isn't compliant, there is no product. And I've learned to prioritize this before you start doing anything new. What about tech debt? This is what happens when you've come up with this great idea of what you need to ship and you've been really inspired by your customers, then you go talk to your engineers and they're like, we're going to spend the next year refactoring the monolith. You're kind of too scared to even ask what the monolith is. And so tech debt is kind of what happens when you've got this picture in your head of what your customers want, what you want to do, and then your engineers have got other ideas because it's so painful to code. And they've got a point. But you know what? If you've been listening to me carefully, from the moment you ship, you've created debt. Because the moment you ship, the picture you've got in your head of how your customers should be using the product and where you want to go next is different from what you've built. And the most efficient way of managing this debt is by letting the conversation happen within the team. It gets really broken if it has to happen between the VP product, the VP tech, in the leadership team. So that's more or less it from me. I think we've learned predicting the future means as a product manager, I have to predict my customers' behaviors so I can help them. And if we do that, we talk to customers, we inspire the people around us, we work through the challenges, we can have a huge impact. Onwards. Thank you very much.